Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Closing Bell show. Of course, every Closing Bell show that we do is a special one. If you can hear me very well, the sound quality is good. Give me a thumbs up so I know everything's good, and then I can get started. Happy Thursday. You betcha. We got about 30 people joining us. Light up my life. Happy Thursday to you. Carlos is in the chat. Ralph, it just started. How you doing? How's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone's having a good day, good Thursday. I personally had an amazing trading day. This week is turning out to be a good week, except for one trade, which is the IWM short. Everything else is working out quite nicely, and tons to talk about, of course, today. While we're waiting, I'm gonna just go ahead and log into my trading account, because one of the things I want to do is actually take a live trade today. I want to trade DraftKings, DKNG. Their earning is tomorrow before the open. DraftKings again is it's a bookie, basically high valuation. It's high of $70 something. Now it's at low of I think $13, $14. I want to look at the expected move and see if it's worth it. I want to actually go ahead and take that trade live again, similar to what I did last time with PayPal, probably with a straddle. We got a really big day tomorrow as well. We got the jobs number coming. It's highly anticipated. A lot of people are looking at it. So tomorrow we're in for a volatile day. And if you're a day trader, if you're a trader, option trader, swing trader, this is it. Have the proper risk management in place, and we're gonna have some fun, hopefully, as long as we're making money, of course, only when we're making money. So Andrew is in Paris, or Mahoney, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. He's in France, and not Paris, he's in France, and Brian's actually on a hiking trip. So I'm doing the show solo. Again, like every time I do the show solo, be patient with me, and we're gonna have some fun, hopefully. Let's see what we got. David, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Who else? No trades today, but it's good. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't have to trade every day. If you didn't find the proper setup, don't worry about it. Ravi just joined us. How are you, Ravi? Great to see you. So let me just quickly log into my trading account, and we'll go ahead and talk about the agenda for today. Just logging into my account here, because again, as I said, I want to take that live trade today. So let's go ahead in our agenda and what we're kind of doing today and what we're talking about. We're going to talk about Coinbase, right? Coinbase rallied tremendously by a lot. We're going to do a quick earnings recap. What are we seeing this earnings season? Earnings season is almost about to be done over the next few weeks. So tons of stuff has happened. And we're going to take a look at some news and things in that nature while we're waiting for my trading account to load. Yeah. Go ahead. I should have done this before the show started. My apologies on this, but things got so busy. Vahid is asking, are you trading options on a daily basis every day? Yes. So Vahid, I trade options daily, but what I usually do is I mostly trade weekly options. So one of the things that I do is trading weekly options. The reason for that is when you're looking at volatility, and this is something I talk about a lot, when you want to price volatility, statistically speaking, is something that is covariance stationary, meaning it's easier to predict what's going to happen in near future rather than the further in time. So if you're an option trader, you just have a higher probability of making money if you're playing weekly. And I set up usually my weekly trades on a Monday and Tuesday, and I close them on Thursday or Friday. If you're part of our chat room, you probably have seen me trade. If not, these YouTube videos are a great resource, and when we go live, you can just keep asking your questions, and I'll be happy to answer pretty much all of those stuff. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Opening range breakout, yeah, coin was absolutely it was very, very active. So today is also a very special day in a sense where we have a guest. Someone from Benzinga team is joining us and is going to kind of walk us through how Benzinga Pro uses News, and he's going to give us a presentation on how Benzinga News kind of API and their callouts could help your trading. We're going to have a really honest, candid discussion, which I'm really excited as well. So we have a guest joining us in about 10 to 15 minutes time as well. So it'll be pretty awesome. Let's go ahead to our agenda. So there's Andrew. I don't know if you've seen these pictures, but Andrew is currently in France. So fun fact, if you don't follow Andrew on his Instagram, definitely do. Andrew is a very humble guy. You won't see a picture of Lamborghini or him having fun with supermodels. He's more of an athletic guy. And this guy that you see right here is actually his running coach. It's his running coach, and he lives in China. And due to the lockdown that was happening in China, he is so out of shape, even though he was a running coach. So Andrew kind of dragged him along now that the COVID lockdowns have ended in China, and they're running in France together. So if you don't follow Andrew, definitely feel free to follow him on Instagram to get an update of his life. He's very active. He's truly inspirational, and yeah, it's fun. So let's talk about Coinbase and what happened today. And this was really interesting. So and this is one of the things I want to talk to with Aaron from Benzinga in the importance of news and how to trade based on news. And the conversation we're going to have is right at 7:59 in the pre-market, Coinbase came out with this news that we're proud to announce partnership with BlackRock. BlackRock Aladdin clients now have direct access to crypto markets through Coinbase Prime. So the Prime meaning like prime brokerage firm. So usually institutions solely trade with the Prime desk. So they don't necessarily go to their IB account or Thinkorswim account. They have a designated sales rep in the investment banks usually, and those people will actually execute the trades for them. So in the investment banking world, they call those S&T desk. S&T stands for sales and trading. And before 2008, these folks were having one of the hottest jobs in the world, right? You walk into any bar and you say, I work at a S&T. That's super sexy because all of them had prop trading desks, and they were taking proprietary trading as well, like the guest we had, Jared Dillian, last week at Lehman. But after 2008, it's mostly just sales. So these are designated people for large institution and hedge fund, and they're just executing trades and making sure they're taking counter trades to hedge the capital of the bank, basically. But at 7:59, the news came out for Coinbase, and you see this little volume spike, little price spike, and of course the stock really took off. So, very interesting. And quite surprising, to be honest. When I woke up, I woke up late because I was working really late last night. By the time I went to bed, I missed the open, and because I trade options, I don't really trade momentum like that, so I know my positions and my risk is defined. I got to office at about 7 a.m. Vancouver time, and I saw Coinbase. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I said it in the chat, and Jared was saying, hey, they got a deal going on as a prime brokerage. So that was very interesting. But speaking of interesting, this is very funny. So on July 26, Cathie Wood and ARK sold 1.4 million shares of Coinbase at all-time low, $53. And the average cost was $254. Since then, Coin is now up 81%. I mean, talk about the difficulty of timing the market, right? And, Cathie Wood is the advocate of having a 5-year time horizon. And then when the news of SEC regulating probably some of the tokens came out, she dumped her position, and now the stock is up 81%. This can't be good if you're an investor in ARK and if you trusted Cathie Wood. It's just very difficult, right? Like active trading, trying to time the market. If you really have, that's why the timeline is really important. If you really have a 5-year time horizon, then you got to do your due diligence. You got to know what are the regulatory risks involved with that security, and things like that shouldn't really happen on your watch if you're a professional. Like my background, I used to be an analyst. Like I know someone's getting yelled at right now at her office. Hopefully, if it's properly run, someone needs to get yelled at, for sure. Um, she failed technical analysis class. That's definitely possible. That's definitely possible. She does active trading. I don't know on what basis they do that. Mariba is saying need to follow Pelosi's trades. No comments on that, but I mean there's a lot of drama on politicians being able to trade single securities as well. It's something that we need to talk about. So talk about short squeeze, right? We got, in my screen we have XLY, which is the discretionary versus a SPY. And look at basically from November, which was the peak of the market, you kind of saw this double top pattern. And after that, the discretionary, in comparison to a SPY, has lagged tremendously. And every time it rallied back, it was a great short opportunity. And you know, if you were in a chat room, I took this trade as well. I took a relative trade where I was long XLV, XLU, and XLP, the defensive names, and I was short XLY. And it was solely based on this chart that I saw. But in July, we saw a massive squeeze, right? So I mean, talk about, you know, trading being hard, and I know a lot of people are getting a squeeze right now. Very similar story we're seeing in IWM and small caps. Again, I'm also in another relative trade where I am short IWM and I'm long VYM. This is a relative trade. This is a value index. This is a small caps. Again, I'm looking at this chart, comparing the small caps versus the SPY. I'm seeing a massive underperformance, so I'm betting that this underperformance will continue. Has it been the case? No. July was a really strong month for small caps. So I'm feeling a little bit of a pain as well myself. I'm getting a little squeeze, but that goes to your timeline, right? So my thesis in this trade was Q2 earnings is going to disappoint. Recession is not fully priced in. Small caps will continue. So I'm going to wait until end of August, early September for all the earnings to be done to really see if my thesis has come to fruition or I was wrong completely. And you know, in order for you not to get wiped out, you hedge your position. Maybe set up some calls or do a bullish straddle, or you know, take a relative trade as part of your hedging. Maybe go long Nasdaq. So you know, there are a lot of ways that you could do to manage and save your capital. Vahid is saying almost all of Katya's stocks are down more than 7%. Yeah, she's not having a good time. That's definitely correct. Michael Berry, the founder of, the portfolio manager at Sicon Capital, tweeted, and every time, you know, he became famous during the Big Short era, during the 08. Every time he tweets, it's a news, and we can see he's filing. So for any portfolio manager that manage more than 100 million, they need to fill out a form called 13F filing. This basically tells them the moment that the quarter is done, so let's say the Q1 is done, the moment that the Q1 is done, they have 90 days to tell the public what exactly are their position as of the last day of that Q1. So, you know, when you look at the Q1, the 13F filing for Berry, you know, at least as of last quarter, he had a very balanced portfolio. So lots of shorts and lots of longs. I can't tell for sure if he was net short, because he did have some long positions. But you know, he's been very short biased, and he's warned people that, hey, this is one of the most speculative bubbles. So today he tweeted, was it today? Yeah, today he tweeted, the silliness is back, and we're going to talk about the silliness. We saw some squeezes, really funny squeezes in AMD today, in Coin, of course. This IPO that went up by 3,000%. He's saying the silliness is back. After 1929, after 1968, after 2000, after 2008, the strain of silliness that transformed bulls into bubbles completely and utterly disappeared. But that familiar COVID-era silliness is not dead yet. Like 2001, before Enron, before 9/11, and before WordCom. So this is funny. Basically, Michael Berry is saying, hey, I'm still seeing a speculation in the market, and I don't think we have bottomed. bottomed yet. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with him? Do you think his shorts are getting a squeeze, so now he's tweeting, or what are your thoughts? I'm still definitely seeing some pocket of speculation, but valuations have come down tremendously, have come down a lot. Yeah, Mariba saying, I wonder how is Apple short doing? Yeah, so who knows? He might have closed it already. One thing to note is by the time you see these 13F filings, these are already 90 days old. These are as of 90 days prior. So he might have already covered his positions or took some massive profits. But you know, his thesis was right? He was betting on China slowdown and iPhone sales coming down, and Apple did come down, and some of it might be luck, but it did work out. Put to call ratios, this is based on volume and not open interest, has come down a lot. So you know, when you compare it to last year, if you say kind of the peak of the fear was, it seems like in June, right when the sell-off was happening, and we've come down since then tremendously. Another thing is warning. Some of the warning signs. So small business index hasn't been this low in 48 years. This was another interesting stat that I saw on Bloomberg this morning that I thought I would share with you. And you know, one of the things you want to look at, again, these surveys are usually leading indicators. So every time these stuff are going down, it would lead into a recession. Every time consumer like a small manager business index is going down, this would usually translate into a recession a few months later, because they're leading indicators. These are purchasing managers who are making the orders, who are seeing the orders in real time, and they can actually make decision based on that. So this is extremely powerful predictor of whether or not we're going to see a recession. And if you look at this chart, and if I had to guess, and if I had to gamble, which I do have a little bit of gambling problem, I would definitely gamble that we are going to see some kind of a recession, and nothing is small. We'll probably even a little larger recession. Just looking at these data and data point. Let's go ahead to unemployment and recession, and this one is also interesting. So if you compare this chart with the chart that I have on my screen, you can kind of see the difference between a lagging and a leading indicator. You know, small business index is a leading indicator. So every time it's coming down, it's leading into a recession. Every time it's coming down, it's leading into a recession. On the other hand, employment is a lagging indicator. So take a look at employment, and you kind of see it's some call it lagging, some call it coincidental. So like it happens at the same time. So like, for example, right at the 2000 recession, the unemployment was coming down, and it only started spiking when the recession actually happened. Same story in 08. So if you wanted to look at this data and look at the unemployment and say, hey, the economy is in a really good condition, let's buy some SPXL, you would have lost all your money here. So we're seeing kind of the similar story here. This is the calm before the storm, in my opinion. We're already seeing massive layoff from Robinhood, from many of these names, and you just have to pay attention. This is lagging indicators. So by the time unemployment has spiked up already, S&P 500 might be already down 35–40%. So you want to pay attention to that. Ron is saying gold to lumber ratio says we're in a recession. I agree with you, Ron. Caesar is saying Apple is at all-time high relative to a SPY. That's absolutely correct as well. Apple is absolutely killing the SPY right now. I saw that chart as well. And again, here's another interesting one where the black line is basically the line of S&P 500. And take a look at what happens usually a few months after the 210 go inverted. Market sells off. 210 go inverted. Market sells off. 210 go inverted. Market hasn't really sold off. So that's one of the reasons I believe the recession is not properly priced in. It's one of the reasons I'm not selling my IWM short. I'm not covering it yet because I don't really believe this rally. And you could be wrong as a trader, especially when you're longer term. You're looking at 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You have a higher chance of being wrong. But as long as you're doing it based on data and you got risk management in place, you should be okay. What else we got? We got about 4 minutes before Aaron join us and talking about the news. Let me see if I got anything else. No. So our guest is going to join us soon. Let me go ahead and see what's happening with DKNG, because we know DKNG got earnings. So hopefully we'll take that trade and hopefully we'll make some money. Kevin is saying, yeah, you just need to stop out before your losses get too big. Yeah, exactly. Once it gets out of hand, then that's you got a problem. As long as you're position sizing, you should be good. So let's see. The expected move here is about $2 here going into tomorrow. So currently trading at 16.50, $2 on a. That's about a 10% move, basically. Less than 10%, about 7.5% move. Let's see, no, a little bit more than 10% move for DraftKings. Again, this is kind of a troubled company. I might actually go ahead and take this trade. I personally think there is potential here. I'm not gonna take a massive size. It's probably gonna cost me about 175 per contract. So let's do just like maybe $500, $400. So let's do just 4 contracts here and see if we get filled going into tomorrow. DraftKings has earnings. This is a stock that usually gaps down or gaps up. Prior to earning has been down tremendously, so it kind of ticks all my boxes. Again, going into earnings, usually these stocks have really high implied volatility, so you want to be very careful and mindful of these as well. David, there's a few ways you could calculate the expected move. The easy back of the envelope way is just look at the money call, add the money put, add them together, and you kind of know the expected move. The correct way of doing it is using the annualized volatility, turn that annualized volatility into daily volatility, and then multiply it by the number of days, and then you get the expected move. So there's multiple ways you could do it. So I believe our guest is in. Aaron, are you on? How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for coming. As our producer is trying to connect you to our screen. I was just taking a straddle trade on DKNG going into earnings tomorrow. So I was just trading live, and let's see, the expected move is about 12-13%, so I felt like the risk to reward makes sense. How are you doing?
I'm good. So hold on. So we're talking about DraftKings here.
Yeah.
Earnings, you said tomorrow before the bell.
Yeah, before the bell, yeah.
Let's see. So we had Penn this morning, right?
Yeah. How did Penn move actually? That's a good one to usually compare. Did it gap up or gap down?
It looks like I'm looking at it. Looks like it opened lower, went higher, and then went
Yeah.
lower again. So trading about 10%. Wow, 10% lower than its highs of like $38 earlier today on DraftKings. So that's or on Penn. Sorry. So that's interesting there. But I mean, if you're looking at DraftKings, then that kind of lowers the bar. Talking about expectations for DraftKings, because it looks like Penn's earnings were kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talk about this show. We like to have a little bit of a macro lens on the stuff we look at, and whenever we're talking about cyclicality in the business cycle, and we know the businesses are slowing down, and spending is going to slow down, it's going to impact the rookie business, the bookie business, right? Which is kind of gambling. Before we get started, and I know there's tons of stuff to talk about, Aaron, why don't you take the time to kind of introduce yourself to our community? Of course, BBT and Benzinga, Bear Bull Traders and Benzinga really go hand in hand. We are a huge supporter and advocate of your product, but give us a few minutes of who you are and your role with Benzinga.
Yeah. So my name is Aaron Bree. I'm a producer and co-host here at Benzinga. I'm on a show every day, every weekday actually, from 11:30 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. That's called Benzinga Live, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter. We're kind of streaming all over the place, but basically just a lunchtime show where we break down the top headlines, what's going on in the markets, what stocks are moving, what stocks we're watching. We bring on different guests for some interviews, and it's a pretty fun, laid back show. So we like to think it's a little bit more of a more fun option than what you would find on something like CNBC. And we tend to have an audience of mostly retail investors, some day traders, and a pretty fun chat and crowd that hangs out with us. And so that's a lot of fun. I also write articles here at Benzinga. So I do a little bit of everything. My background is more in media, more in journalism. I went to journalism school at University of Missouri, but I've always been interested in business and finance. Started trading a lot more during COVID, like millions of others out there. There wasn't a lot going on, no sports or anything like that. I was like, what am I supposed to do? So I had already had, my brokerage accounts and whatnot, but my Robinhood account definitely got a lot more use when COVID hit and there was nothing else going on.
Yeah.
And so I was trading a lot of options, March 2020, kind of really got into option trading, started working here at Benzinga, and the rest is history.
That's amazing. What a great intro, and it's so interesting how your kind of background and how you started is really interesting to a lot of people, right? How they all started investing and trading, and they fell in love with it. Last week, Aaron, we had Jared Dillian on the show, and he was an ex Lehman Brother trader before 2008, and now he's a Bloomberg columnist, and he was talking about how it is a lot easier, since you said your major was in communication. He said it's a lot easier to teach trading to someone who's good at writing and performing rather than the other way around. Like someone who is a trader, they can be great writers. So I think you got the best of two worlds, with your background and talking market. You're in great place.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that. I'll have to go back and watch that interview. That sounds like something I'd be interested in. But yeah, I mean, it really is. I found Benzinga kind of coming out of college, and it was a perfect fit because it blends my two interests together perfectly between, news and media and stocks and finance. So, I know we want to discuss today kind of about the importance of news and the importance that plays, and why, if you're trading out there, you kind of have no other option but to be focused at least somewhat on the news on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, let's get started. So prior to getting you on the show, we were talking about Coinbase, and the news that came out on Coinbase right at 7:59, and I had the chart up on my screen. As soon as the tweet came out that, hey, we're partnering up with BlackRock, you saw that volume come in, and of course the stock rallied, and the rest is history. Can you kind of walk us through that news process? And as a trader, how can you know what is a proper news and what is kind of noise?
Yeah, so basically, for any news that's going to move a stock, right, there's kind of two different ways that typically works. One is when a company announces something kind of on their own volition. They come out and say, okay, we're Coinbase, we're partnering with BlackRock for this. And the other way is if a news organization, or journalist somewhere breaks a story, that's kind of without the company putting out a press release or anything. So think, there's a few examples of that in the past recently. I believe, oh shoot, what company was it? Bloomberg put out a report about some companies, users or something, that tanked the stock like 10%. So basically, the news will come out and basically get picked up across different news wires almost immediately. Whether you're
Right.
talking on Benzinga Pro, on Bloomberg Terminal, whatever it is, immediately. And then you even have, outside of just human traders, you even have algorithms,
Yeah.
algo traders that are digesting news on a real time basis and trading this. So you can see with something like Coinbase, the stock is going to jump 10% in the matter of minutes.
Minutes, yeah.
And that's why, if you're trading on a day-to-day basis, you really have to have news at your fingertips as quickly as you can get it, because otherwise, if you wait 5 minutes and buy, then the stock's most likely going to start coming down already from when it
Yeah.
already spiked up from.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we say. So we always say you want to get the proper news and you want to get it fast, because rule number one in finance is that the alpha is limited. Because by the time you get into a trade, people that got in 5 minutes earlier, they're selling those shares with a profit to you, and then you end up so on. So we call them backholding, right? So the quality of news is really important. So can you, Aaron, walk us through the dynamic in terms of the Benzinga Pro and the news? So let's say a company want to release a statement. How would Benzinga Pro kind of pick that up in terms of the advantage for a trader versus them waiting and maybe reading it on a Bloomberg per se, or like a CNBC website?
Yeah, of course. So, are you able to share stock charts by chance?
Yeah, I mean I can pull up any charting. I have my trading account up, as well as we can pull up any charting that you want, any stock, any specific stock. You let me know.
Okay, because already we did have an exclusive on a stock today, the ticker CGTX. So this is essentially, a case where a company, CGTX, it's a biotech stock. I believe the news item has something to do with its the data for its Alzheimer's drug. Um, Let me see.
CGTX. Also, the news came to you guys first beforehand. Oh yeah, I'm seeing
Right.
the
So
chart. This is crazy.
it was an exclusive story that we had, and that we put out. And you can see here this big green candle. So the
Yeah.
stock took off, going from like $2 to $4 based on this news. And basically, so to answer your question, how that works kind of behind the scenes, is the company will that we have, not monetary relationships with, any like sponsorships or anything like that, but just with people we know, like people we're connected with, people, PR people from different companies will send us stories. And sometimes they'll send us stories and say, hey, we're getting ready to announce this. Can we give you this story under embargo? Which means we're going to give you this press release, show you what we're getting ready to announce in a couple hours, and you can't essentially put it out there until this news is released. I wasn't on this story that was broken today, so I don't know exactly how this went down with CGTX. But for certain cases, that's how it works with companies. They'll essentially say, hey, we're getting ready to release this story at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to give it to you early so you can prepare an article and whatnot, but you can't release it. You can't publish the article until 4 p.m. So, yeah, and that's one of the benefits of having Benzinga Pro, because we put that out first. And then, of course, it's going to go to Bloomberg. It's going to go to CNBC. It's going to go to all these other places. But that specific exclusive was on Benzinga Pro first. Then there are other exclusives that are on Bloomberg first, and we'll pick them up on Benzinga Pro. And that's why some traders will have both, or they'll have all the different news services they can have, because certain ones will break certain stories.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm chart, not a lot of volume, and then the news came out, a massive volume, and this was again exclusive on Benzinga, and the stock doubled, basically went from like $3 of high of that candle to $6, so 100% return on a day, not bad. As an option trader, first thing I did, Aaron, was went to the option chain, and I'm like, how can I magnify those return even some more? But there were no options for CGTX. So Aaron, I kind of got a question for you, and of course, before the call, we were talking, and I said, Trading Terminal, the tool that we're building for traders, we have the Squawk at the top of it, and our news is actually powered by Benzinga. But for some of the newer traders who are just starting out, one of the things that become problematic is really realizing, okay, what is news and what is noise? So how would I interpret this news as a positive catalyst versus a negative catalyst? Do you have any advice? Does Benzinga offer maybe like a plus sign? Because I know Interactive Broker, as an example, like give it a weighting, like a +1. This is a positive catalyst. Does Benzinga offer something like that? And then personally, what is your advice for newer traders?
Yeah, so I think my biggest advice for newer traders is going to be depending on wherever your primary media source is. So if it's Twitter, if it's Reddit, no matter where it is, find a plethora, find a number of different sources that you like and trust. So that way, you're not relying just on one outlet. Maybe it's not just Benzinga. You're looking at CNBC, Reuters, Benzinga, and so that way you're getting multiple sources on the different information that you're taking in. I find that to be very important, and I think a lot of people that struggle with kind of cutting through that noise is because they're not finding that core group of good sources. So I'd start there, and then as far as cutting through the noise. So one thing that I think people you have to realize, especially if you're going through news feeds and stuff on a day-to-day basis, is there are like thousands of press releases every day from companies are putting out, and of course the job of the PR departments of these companies are to make their announcements sound really good and make investors excited. But you have to be able to realize that, like, look, just because so and so company, let's say Coinbase, for example, I mean, obviously their announcement today was very big, but just because they put out a press release, say tomorrow, saying, hey, we're announcing this new NFT platform, and they're trying to get a lot of buzz for it, it might sound great in the press release, but that and like what you're saying, Artie, like give it a plus or minus. You might see that and give it a plus, but just because you give it a plus doesn't mean the market's going to give it a plus. So we don't have, I don't believe we really have any way to kind of rank news stories based on plus or minus, just because at the end of the day, that's not up for us to determine. That's up to the market. We do have a cool service on Benzinga Pro called Why Is It Moving? We call
Hmm.
them WIMs, WIIM, and that's essentially just a quick, like, 1 to 2 sentence breakdown of why a stock is up, 10 or up 10% or down 10%.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm at Trading Terminal right now in our news page, and exactly that WIMS that you said, it's an API we're getting from you guys, and again, we're a huge advocate of Benzinga and what you guys offer. So why is it moving, and what is moving, and why is it moving, as well as our news. I really love what you said, Aaron. Is that just because you think, or a platform thinks that, hey, this is a positive catalyst and this news is positive, doesn't mean necessarily the market is going to react to it positively. So I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to proper risk management, right? This Benzinga Pro and the news, and being able to use the news is all about have the risk management place. It's just another tool in the toolbox, right? Using it as another source of information. Is that kind of a fair assumption?
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta, for me, I mean, like, I think about with Benzinga Pro, having that at your fingertips, a live news feed, is so crucial on a day-to-day basis, staying on top of trading, right? If you go back to that CGTX chart, and I hear people all the time that are more technical traders that just do the charts, and they'll say, oh, I don't care about what this company does. I don't care about the news. I just care about the charts. And it's like, yeah, nothing that you were looking at in that chart would have told you the stock was going to go up 100% based on a news story. That was just based on the news. So it's important for that aspect, just being able to know exactly why the market's moving a certain way, or why certain stocks are moving a certain way. But also, you're not going to get those exclusive stories where a stock is up 100% every minute, every day. It's more so just about systemically being on top of what's going on in the markets, what's going on with certain stocks. Okay, I'm seeing that, COVID is coming back in China, and that's why this is, because if you're overlooking that, if you're just on your brokerage all day trading and not looking at the news, you're gonna be so focused on the trading, and you can miss this whole big shift in the market that's going on with a new thing or whatever. So I really do think, having a platform like Benzinga Pro, or if you're lucky enough to have a Bloomberg terminal, whatever it is going to help you tremendously.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I love how you said the technical traders. But I leave it up to, I don't know if you can see my screen, but leave it up to technical traders to tell you, oh, this was a descending triangle. They're gonna draw something that tell you, hey, we could have predicted this move somehow. So they'll always have some kind of answer. But I 100% agree with you. And again, the show is live, and we got some questions that are coming in that I will ask. But one of the things that I think a lot of people would have, as in terms of kind of maybe a hesitation, is, and we hear it all the time, we're like, oh, the rise of algo trading, and you know the natural language processing algorithms that can read the news faster than me and trade faster than me. In your experience, is there still edge for individual traders, um, or no?
Is there still edge for individual traders?
Yeah, when
Exactly. How do you mean? I'm sorry.
like when you compare it like with algos, right? Like one could argue, hey, the news comes out, true, but the algo can read faster than me, can trade faster than me. So how would that provide that advantage for me in terms of my trading? So especially newer traders, they always ask us this question. But I kind of want to hear your perspective.
I mean, I think it's something with, like, take for example the CGTX stock. I mean, I believe
Yeah.
we put this exclusive out at right at 2:30. So you can see almost like the essentially you could have bought it like 5 minutes late and
Yeah.
still made a lot of money on that. Now it's not going to happen like that every time. I would say it's more, I don't think it's as black and white as saying it does or doesn't work in terms of buying off the news. I think it's one of those things that's just like a case by case basis. If you happen to be on Benzinga Pro, listening to the audio squawk or looking at the advanced news feed and gotten that alert right at that time, and you had your brokerage up and you could have done it, great. You could have made a nice little trade based on this news. If you were away from your computer and you came back at 2:38 and you saw it for the first time and you went to buy it, now, like you said already, like you have algos that have gotten in, you have other humans that have gotten in, the trade's gotten more crowded. So I really think it just depends on a case by case basis. But certainly there are times where, news will hit, algos will hop in, and within minutes, it's the trade's already over. But I think for the most part, I don't think it's happens in like 2 seconds. Like some people may make it out there seem like it is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that answer. Very very candid. Sometimes there might be opportunity, and sometimes the opportunity might be it's going to be different case by case. But of course,
Yeah, it depends on the stock, depends on how
yeah,
much volume is in the stock, depends on what the news is. If it's news that it takes time for people to realize what's going on or whatever. It might be a news story that breaks at 2 and the stock runs from 2 to 3, or it might run for 2 minutes and then start coming down. So I would just say it's a case by case basis. Definitely be aware that trading news, especially if a stock's already gone up on it, it's going to be more volatile. Like there's going to
yeah.
be more risk involved.
Yeah, definitely. It's so interesting. But at the end of the day, I think for those companies that Benzinga is doing those exclusive ones, you kind of have an inherent edge because it's only available to the Benzinga subscribers, and hopefully, of course, doing your risk management is really important. But it gives you a higher chance. I always say trading is one of my saying, and I learned it from kind of my mentors. Trading is not about the outcome, but the probability distribution of that outcome. And every time you can tilt that way in terms of the distribution, that's the most important thing. The outcome is just a result. You should really focus on the process. And I know a lot of traders says that, right?
Yeah, and I just want to make one thing clear on the breaking news, like with CGTX. It's not something like it's a news story that we give to Benzinga Pro and it's exclusive to that group. I just want to make that clear. I don't know, like legal. I don't know. I don't think that's a lot. Basically, what we put it out on Benzinga Pro. Then it's going to immediately get picked up by go to the Bloomberg terminal, go to all these other places. But for that, split for that 15 seconds or whatever, however long it takes to get to Bloomberg, it originates the first place it's on Benzinga Pro. So it's going to be quickest on Benzinga Pro for the exclusives that we break. But as soon as we put it on Benzinga Pro, then it's public information. It's not like we're sharing, exclusive stories just with our members. I just want to make sure that that's not like a misunderstanding out there, that people think, oh my God, we have this exclusive story and we're sharing it with just our members, and then it's not public information. No, as soon as we report on it in an article, then it's public, it's out there. And it was probably on the Bloomberg terminal within 2 minutes from when we released it. But it was first on Benzinga. So if you were on all of them, you would have been quickest getting it from Benzinga.
Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying, but yeah, absolutely. I think our members are majority traders, because if it was only available to Benzinga, it would be insider trading. It would be a whole different story.
Right, I know.
but yeah, thanks for saying that. So we got some questions coming in. We have Aaron for another few minutes. So if you got questions, feel free to type it in the chat. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can actually be able to ask your question. Sal T is saying, Benzinga Pro is great. I use it for researching swing trades all the time, but I haven't incorporated it yet into day trading routine. What features are ideal for day traders?
So I would say one thing that I would do if you have Benzinga Pro and you're a day trader definitely would be turning on the audio squawk, because what that is essentially we have a guy named Charles who is amazing. I think he's from Brooklyn or somewhere in New York, and he just sits there with a nice New York accent and reads.
He's a legend.
The most important. Huh?
He's a legend. We love
Charles.
Yeah.
Charles is a legend. He reads the biggest headlines, and it's not like he's reading every single little headline out there. He's reading the big ones that you care about. So if you already have a routine as a day trader and you're looking at charts on your screen and all this, you can just have it on in the background and have that audio squawk. And it's like something that a lot of people use and really like for that reason, because it doesn't really get in the way. It kind of just will pop on whenever there's a big news story you should be aware of. Outside of that, just having the advanced news feed open, just being able to kind of stay on top of any stories that may be, moving markets, moving certain stocks. If you think about earlier this week with Pelosi traveling to Taiwan, there was a lot of volatility with different semiconductor names and different Chinese names. And so having, being able to have one place that you can kind of stay on top of all of that makes it really easy, because you don't have to be going from this CNBC article to this Yahoo Finance article to this MarketWatch article. You can just stay right on Benzinga Pro, and then all of those sources are in one place. And then, as far as day trading, I believe that was Sal T's question asking about, ideal for day traders. I think anytime you're looking, we do have kind of trading view and good charting built in there. But you can also just look at different, fundamentals that may even help you in day trading. I know for day traders aren't typically looking at fundamentals, but say you just want to look at something's PE or RSI or any metrics like that, you can do that all in one place. So if you're, see people in a chat room talking about, DraftKings stocks, say we were talking about that earlier, and you just want to do a quick gut check on what the company does and what the numbers look like, you can do it real quick in Benzinga Pro, check out the chart, check out any recent news, and then decide if you want to hop in or not.
Yeah, no, love that answer. Hopefully that answers Sal T's question. Again, amazing tool, Benzinga Pro. Aaron, thank you so much for kind of taking the time and coming on the show and speaking with us. Again, the show, we like to run it really casual. As you said, how the show that you run is not like CNBC. We like to keep it that way as well, keep it casual. Thanks for being so amazing, coming here and answering the questions. I think Sal C is saying, I think you also have some movers as skinners that are very helpful. He found those movers as skinners or movers screeners really helpful as well.
Yeah, different movers and scanners tools, so you can see, which stocks are up a lot on the day, which stocks are down a lot of the day. That's actually how I start a lot of my days. I look at the pre-market movers and scanners because I like to see, a lot of times you'll see, okay, this random biotech stock is up 50% pre-market, and then as soon as the market opens, it goes up another 50% before it starts coming down. So you can find a lot of these runners by using the pre-market movers and scanners for sure. So yeah, I mean that's another great way for day traders to use the Benzinga Pro platform.
All right. Well, yeah, amazing. Well, there you have it, Aaron. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I know your time was limited, and I know it was a little short notice and chaotic, but we really appreciate it. I personally got tons of value out of speaking with you, and thanks.
Yeah, man, I loved coming on the show. Please, check us out on YouTube, Benzinga. You can check out Benzinga Pro at pro.benzinga.com for a free 2-week trial. I'll throw that link in the chat here. And then, yeah, man, like I said, I'd love to come on in the future. I'll have more time today. I've got a little bit of a shorter schedule, but thanks for having me on.
Yes, indeed. And let's see what that DKNG strat will do for tomorrow. Okay, if I lose money, we'll bring you back next week and we'll review the trade together.
All right, sounds good, man. I'm excited.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
You too.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. All right, that was Aaron from Benzinga, who was nice enough to come on and talk about the importance of news. And, of course, he wanted to talk about the Benzinga Pro and the Squawk. And, in our chat room, and we incorporate Benzinga a lot. And in a trading terminal, we have what is moving, why is it moving. We have the Squawk box as well as the search functionality, where you can search any ticker and see, okay, what is the news on Facebook and why is it gapping up and why is it gapping down. And a lot of this news, by the way, is actually powered by Benzinga. So we have a really powerful partnership with Benzinga. They're a friend of the show and friend of the firm. And we appreciate Aaron's time coming in. So I took that DKNG trade. The expected move is about $1.50. Let's see what happens. The earning is tomorrow. Let's go to before I say goodbye, let's go to our calendar, because tomorrow is a really big day, in my opinion. I think market is going to be very volatile. So going into calendar, simply click on economic, and then you can kind of see what are some of the key stuff that are coming out tomorrow. So we got Fed bargain speech, unemployment rate for July, average hourly earnings. So the average hourly earning will basically tell you, hey, do we have wage inflation or not? It's one of the things that Fed looks at. You have your non-farm payrolls, and this is, of course, unemployment numbers that is coming out, and participation rate. So participation rate is also important because after COVID, we saw a massive drop in participation rate. The participation rate really went down, and it hasn't fully recovered. That means either people have retired earlier than expected, so earlier than 65, or people are just not coming back to work. Either they're crypto traders, who knows, they're trading full time, or they're maybe they're doing something like private or cash, but they're not coming back and actively looking for a job. And that's one of the things that Fed usually looks at as well. I personally think a lot of people are going to look at tomorrow's number because it's going to tell that a story of recession and how severe it is going to be. It's pretty much every time the 2 and 10 invert, we know there's going to be a recession happening. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how severe it is going to be. So definitely a big day. I got a couple of questions coming in. Light of my life, when does the Bearable Trader stock scanner come out? We are working really hard with the provider and getting the APIs and getting the setup. The goal that I have for the team, some of the developers who are working really hard, is end of August. So hopefully by end of August, we're going to have our own screener and scanner as well. And we've actually worked proprietary with the developers over there, really tweaking the features and making sure the scanner is designed for Bearable Traders and peak capital trading, for the style of trading that we do, that Andrew does, that Tor does. I mean, we already have the pivot alert bot. We're going to add that into there as well. So we're very excited. Hopefully end of August. But one thing I've learned these past few weeks dealing with, running kind of a software company is deadlines are fugazi. They never happen. So we might run a few weeks behind. But as of now, end of August, hopefully we can make it happen for you. We're really excited. We're working extra hard. Aaron just chatted on our chat. Of course, it was definitely our honor. Aaron, thank you for coming on. We really enjoyed speaking with you. Yeah, and that's about it. So tomorrow is a big day. Let's see what DKNG does in terms of earning, and then we got the employment numbers coming in. You know, if employment numbers are really bad, we are in a market where, you know, you could say bad news is kind of good news. So if the employment is very bad, that means the Fed has to kind of slow down their interest rate hike. So that might be good for the Qs and probably bad for IWM. Let's see how that plays out. But definitely a volatile day tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Let's see how the indices close the day. Since the market is already closed, let's go to our overview page and see how the indexes close. So SPY closed flat, Qs continue its strength, closed positive. Dow closed down 24 bases, and Russell 2000 also down about 21 basis points. So luckily IWM is down, so that's a good day for me. The yields came up a little bit at 2.6. They were at 2.5 I believe a few days ago, so the 10-year has come up a little bit. Skew is still pretty low. That shows the sentiment overall is bearish. A lot of puts are being bought near at the money, and energy was the worst performer today. Well, yeah, and that's about it. Hopefully today was a good session. We'll see you next week, Tuesday. Hopefully Andrew will be back. I believe next week, Thursday, we have Creda on the show. Creda is an amazing, you know, our in-house psychologist who's done plenty of webinars for us. She's gonna come on the show and talk about, you know, trading psychology, because that's one of the most important pillars in trading. And yeah, we got a full pack show going on for you. Thanks for being patient with me. You know, running the show alone is definitely not easy, but hopefully next week I'll have some co-hosts. And thanks again. Give us a thumbs up, like the show, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.